Alright, so in today's video, we're going to talk about Piers Morgan and Chris Williamson trying their hardest to connect manhood to a political party, and that's literally the recipe for destruction for all men. And then we're going to talk about Hasan Piker having a schooling moment with Bradley and giving us some insight on how brain broken Trump supporters are. Let's have that conversation. So me personally, I don't like to get into the whole conversations of, what being a man really means in a whole alpha male and beta males and all that stupid conversation, because 9 times out of 10, everything is subjective. Like however you feel a man should be, how a man should walk and talk and this whole thing, like that's literally within your own opinion. And when it comes to opinion versus opinion, there's never going to be like an answer or a truth, because opinions is whatever you want it to be. So you can't tell somebody else, you can't tell another grown man how a man should be acting. That's depending on how I was raised and my perspectives of what I think a man should be. And just to kind of quote some activists who, in my opinion, would make good role models for when it comes to young black men. This is from Malcolm X. He said, "The black man has to be made to see himself as he is. He has to be made to see himself as part of the majority, and he has to understand that he is not the minority. Once the black man takes a positive step towards himself, he'll realize that he can be a man who can stand on his own 2 feet." That to me, in at least through my perspective, tells how a man should be able to have self-awareness and self-respect. And once you understand of who you are, then you'll be able to interact with the world on integrity. And then we have Martin Luther King. He said the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in a moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Once again, testing who you are and how you manage controversy, challenges, struggles. That's what produces a man. You know what I'm saying? But once again, that's my opinion. And once you start to be a grifter, like this is what a grifter is. They'll take something like that is controversial and try to politicize it in any way, shape, or form that they can. And that brings us here. I've seen this young man a few times throughout my YouTube feed. It's kind of like that self-motivating type of thing, which is nothing wrong to it. It's nothing wrong. But as soon as I see him on Piers Morgan, I just knew, and I wasn't disappointed. It was going to be some BS. Literally straight BS. Piers Morgan is one of the most disingenuous individuals that has millions of people watching. And that's unfortunate. So let's go ahead and see how they politicize being a man.
Young men have had a rough old decade, really. You can chart it to sort of when the Me Too Time's Up campaign hit, a crisis of perhaps confidence about what it means to be a man. How should you behave? Some of it was obvious, some of it not so obvious. A lot of blurred lines, a lot of moving pendulums and so on. Really interestingly, in the American election we've just had, a lot of young men, white, black, Latinos in particular, gravitated to Donald.
And that's the first fact check right there. Statistically, please, for the love of God, stop using this whole white men, Hispanic men, and black men. No. Keep black men out your lips. That simple. Statistically, black men, they showed up for the Democratic Party, which that's a whole nother conversation. But don't sit here and lie. Don't sit here like every man throughout all these diverse backgrounds looked up to Trump or voted Republican. That is a lie. And everything you're basing off that lie is going to be some BS. So Piers, once again, you got all that money and you still can't look up factual information. Idiot.
Donald Trump, who'd surrounded himself with what they're calling the broligarchy. So you got Trump, and they're all like alpha male guys. Trump, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., you've got Vivek Ramaswamy. And then you've got the Jordan Petersons and the Joe Rogans out there in the YouTube world who are also supporting this. What do you think of the broligarchy? Is it a long overdue, like, I don't know, what would you call it, a support group that's come for young men who just don't know quite what it means to be a man?
So once again, if you're calling someone like Vivek an alpha male, or Jordan Peterson, or Elon Musk, who was on stage jumping like a little 10-year-old girl who got the Barbie that they wanted for Christmas, you're calling that guy an alpha male? Why? Because they have money? Get over yourself. There's nothing alpha about Vivek. If he's an alpha male, I'm omega male at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, that's not even a conversation right there. So, Piers, once again, you're trying too hard to kiss the ass of these wealthy people just so you can get a lick off the man's hamburger. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Piers, do better, please.
Interestingly, I don't think that the broligarchy or bro politics, as it's been coined, I don't think it's actually primarily about men. And I think that's what's really interesting. It's primarily about doing things that men typically have been good at, which is just getting shit done. They get things done. And it's an optimization now on effectiveness and efficiency over optics, right? It's on getting something created, regardless of how you appear. Elon had this really interesting discussion a while ago where he said, I care more about doing good than the appearance of looking good. And I think that world of the performative empathy, toxic compassion, victimhood mindset, I think that...
Virtue signaling.
Yes. I think that was... it was like a gold bar that was beaten down into a leaf so thin that if you poked it, a hole immediately went through it. It looked glitzy from the outside. It looked like it was legitimate. But really, when you poked it a little bit, we've seen this time and time again, whether it's individual authors or organizations or charities or movements or whatever, they're not as virtuous as they seem from the outside. And now you have people who have easily stress testable. Does your rocket go to space and come back? Or does it explode? Does the Pentagon's budget get cut? Or does it not? Do we get better efficiency inside of government or do we not? And this world of optimizing for facts and outcomes as opposed to optics, I think is one that's long overdue. And the masculinity thing.
And before he kind of ties into what like Piers asked is, if that's your position, is getting things done versus just the spectacle of everything, why? And trust me, I would have my own concerns when it comes to the Democratic Party. Trust me, I've made plenty of it. But why? On God's green earth, would you think Republicans would ever do that over spectacle? That was literally Trump's entire campaign, was just fear-mongering, baseless, factless scenarios. Like, he literally pulled everything out of his ass and people ate it. They took it. All the spectacle, no substance. So once again, what are you talking about? And even when it comes to Elon Musk, does a rocket go into space and come back? Like who cares? He is not an engineer. He is just like the literal definition of spectacle. He hasn't created nothing from it. I think the flamethrower, I think he made. Okay, hey, good job, congratulations. You made a flamethrower, which is called not a flamethrower, but whatever. But when it comes to Tesla, the rockets, that was all NASA. None of anything that people think Elon has made or has done was not from him. So he's the literal definition of spectacle. So once again, why are we having this conversation based off the Republican Party as if they're doing something positive for manhood? They are not. Trump literally was cheating on his pregnant wife with a porn star. Nothing screams, this is what a man should be coming from Trump. But okay, I digress. My bad. My bad.
If that ends up bringing along for the ride a role model that says this is what a man can be, being able to achieve these things, there's no reason that it can't be. Tulsi Gabbard is right in the mix along with all of these people.
Right.
She seems to embody as many masculine virtues as...
Well, Trump actually has a lot of women in his nominated cabinet. A lot of women. I mean, it's one of the most diverse cabinets actually in terms of gender and race there's ever been.
Time out, Piers. Hey, I swear, Piers Morgan, hear me out, okay? This is a conspiracy I'm just thinking about right now. Piers is literally finding information and choosing to say the opposite. Not like he's like misguided or just has misinformation. Like, he sees the information and literally makes a conscious decision to say the opposite, because what he just said is once again factually wrong and it's public information. You know why? Because I got it in front of me. When it comes to Trump in his cabinet today, 3 minorities in his cabinet level positions and 5 women in his cabinet level positions. Okay, hey, great job. Sounds pretty diverse, I guess. When it comes to Joe Biden's cabinet, when it comes to racial diversity, 13 people of color in his cabinet level positions. Last time I checked, 13 is more than 5. Unless something has changed, 13 is more than 3. When it comes to gender diversity, Biden had 11 women in cabinet level positions over Trump's 5. Once again, Piers, do you know how numbers work? Do you know basic math skills, comprehension? I don't think so. Either you're dumb as a box of bricks or you're purposely being disingenuous because you know your audience is dumb as hell and they're worthless. One of the two or both. I don't know. But you tell me which one it is. But okay, you know what? I'm sorry for ranting. Let's continue the video.
Yeah, I it's fascinating, and I think that creating a positive role model for men to look up to, for anybody to look up to, that just wants some mastery and some upward aiming meritocracy. You've said has been under attack for a long time. I get the sense that you're right, and applauding, like, making achievement great again. Is not a bad...
No, I completely agree. It's reality. But this also plays into...
Okay, and then he's going to go into some dumb stuff. But once again, no one in their right mind is attacking someone who is achieving something or getting a job position based off of their credentials or their experience. No one has an issue with that. It only becomes an issue when people like, let's say, Elon Musk or Vivek, or a lot of people that Trump has surrounded himself with that has no experience when it comes to government. None whatsoever. No one voted for Elon. No one voted for Vivek. But yet, somehow, their money, their status, their connections is what got them into the position they're in today. So you tell me what party is abusing, this whole meritocracy BS that a lot of people want to hang their hat on. You tell me once again, Piers. I don't know. But hey, you're a walking idiot. So I shouldn't try hard to try to figure out what you're thinking.
Not agree with this.
The main thing as well, I think, it's not so much that guys are moving toward the right. That
they're being pushed away from the left.
Correct. The left largely has left them. There is no evidence. This is from Richard Reeves. There is no evidence that men are any less supporting of gender equality. Zero evidence. But all of the different policies. The same number of men die per year from suicide as women do from breast cancer. The same number of men.
Now, what he's saying, once again, in its own conversation, could be a substantive conversation to be had, an important conversation to be had. Hey, let's have it. But now watch how he somehow, okay, like I don't know this guy too well. I seen a couple of his, self type videos, where you build yourself and be happy with yourself. I've seen a few of those, but I don't understand how he's taking this problem, which once again on its own isn't political. It should just be a problem, and he connects it to just one party that is failing to address that issue. Once again, stop it. Stop. Okay? But let's listen.
Die per year from suicide as women do from breast cancer. The same number of men. There is not a single direct, focused men's health organization inside of the CDC. None. Despite the fact that men die so much sooner than women, men take their lives, but more likely to be addicted, more likely to be homeless, more likely to be on the street, all of the stats that we all already know. The Harris campaign, when they had that homepage, I'm sure that you covered it, every different group in the book, which was the one that was missing.
Yeah.
Man.
Hey. Okay, young man, hey, how you doing? Chris, can I call you Chris? Hey, Chris, what in the hell are you talking about? What policies does the Trump campaign or Republicans have when it comes to men's mental health or men's awareness in any substance? What? Please explain to me. And I hope you do in the next 30 seconds. And trust me, here's a spoiler. I watched this already. They give zero examples of how Trump is going to tackle this issue. But no, being disingenuous and being an asshole, you're only going to say, hey, you didn't see anything when it comes to the Democrats' willingness to address this issue. But no, let's just pretend, right? Because when you say the Democratic Party is not going to address it, you're just kind of assuming, without saying it, that the Republican Party has some sort of solutions. Or you could just simply say neither party is addressing this issue and is very important. No. You know why? Because you're sitting in front of an individual who is disingenuous and you don't have the balls to address Piers and say, hey, let's be honest, this is not political. This is every issue. This is Republican men and Democratic men and every man in between. This is an issue for all men and it needs to be addressed. And I don't care if Republicans address it or Democrats address this issue. It just needs to be addressed. No, you can't do that. Maybe you got to button up a little more. Like I don't know what's missing here. Okay, but let's listen.
Yeah.
So it feels like kind of like righteous retribution in some way, that the group that you demonized, the group that you ignored, the group that you didn't care about, ended up saying, okay, if you don't want me at your party, so be it.
I completely agree.
I completely... Piers, I swear. Hey, Piers, I don't like you. Because you're an idiot, okay? Like that simple. Like, you're just an idiot. And it's frustrating that people have to listen to you. But like I just said, and I guess we could just leave it there before I end up like blowing a vein in my neck on how just upsetting it is just to hear two idiots talk to each other and literally say nothing at the same time. Like, this was, 30 minutes of a conversation and nothing of substance was said. And usually I try not to comment on videos like that because it's just going to go into the void and nothing is going to be like listened to when you comment sense within comment sections. But I said, if anyone is looking to a political party to guide them into being a productive man in the U.S., is doomed at the start. Politicians need to create a system where a man can have opportunity and the ability to create their own success as they desire. Trump or Harris, Democrats or Republicans can't be role models for men. That's extremely problematic. Tell me now, you listening right now, what I just said What is the problem with that? And 9.9% out of 10, there's nothing. You know why? Because I thought this out for the past 2 years. Government, political parties can't tell you how to be a man. 9 times out of 10, they're going to abuse that power. They're going to abuse their authority for their own benefit. You have to find individuals within your own life, or look to the Cornel West's or the Michael Eric Dysons, or if you can't find anyone living, look to the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, the James Baldwins, or go even further back to the Frederick Douglasses. I mean, damn, read something if you need guidance from what a man is to be, but don't look to a politician, because you're going to be screwed. I guarantee it. That's simple. But once again, hey guys, how you doing? If you agree or disagree with anything I said in this segment, let me know in the comments down below. So we already know that when it comes to Republicans, it's all about the spectacle. Like, they have no substance, they have no real policies, they don't have no really good ideas. The only thing they can say is, you know, who you should fear and who we should put the blame on. Like, they don't have, and even when it comes to that, it's just finger pointing at marginalized people and people who really can't speak up for themselves. That's their plan. That's their strategy. And if I can see that, and I'm not the sharpest knife in the kitchen, trust me, if I can see this, how the hell, why on God's green earth can't everybody else see this? See straight through the BS. And when it comes to fixing the economy, how to lower prices, how to put more money back into people's pockets, that's what's concerning to them. But for whatever reason, they see Donald Trump as a solution to that, which is a problem. And this is how this is all starting to play out. You know what I'm saying? Like, voting is said and done. Trump is the winner. And we're doing shit backwards for some reason. Step 1 is people voted for Trump. And then step 2 is people who voted for Trump are now learning his policies. Why is that? Why are people so ass backwards? Like, people are literally stuck on stupid. And now like people are just like, oh, what are tariffs? How do tariffs works? Oh, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound like it'll help me. Like, no, your dumb assness is what's not helping us. And you already voted for him. And now you're trying to educate yourself on what tariffs are and how that affects you at the consumer level. Hey, ding, ding. Maybe you should have did that before and not after. You know what I'm saying? But thank God for individuals like Hasan Piker. This is why, in my opinion, okay, someone like Hasan Piker needs more attention. Yes, you can disagree what he said a few years ago about X, Y, and Z and this whole thing, but when it comes to the basic understanding, the foundation of what progressive policies look like, and someone who can explain it, he is amazing at that. And this is a perfect demonstration on how you deconstruct dumbassness at its basic understanding. Okay, let's take a listen.
Oh yeah, windmills are killing all the birds or something.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but don't you think like being able to have that sort of conversation is important for a president, whether like it gets off to some tangent or not, right?
No,
and they're talking about, like, you know, Trump going on to all these podcasts and being relatable, and Harris didn't really do, well, I mean, she did, but she didn't do, I guess, enough of that. So like, that's what this conversation is right here.
I think that, I mean, it's good to showcase yourself as like a real person for sure. Yeah. I'll tell you like this. If someone was like the most low functioning socially, and this is a antiquated term now, but if someone was like autistic, right? And they were low socially functioning, or high needs, or I think that's the new term for it. Anyway, whatever. If they were like that, but they had some banger policies, they were just like constantly advocating for healthcare for all, I'd be like, I don't give that this person has like is not the best communicator. I don't care that they don't come across as personable, because like I agree with their policies, because at the end of the day, that's what I care about. I don't want to have beer with a politician.
So why do you?
Yeah. I don't want to have a beer with a politician. I don't care if a politician is more, popular or more like relatable. I don't give two F's about that. I care about policies and what they're going to do in that White House, what they're going to do when I vote for them to have this extreme amount of power over my life. I want to know about that. And we can go even deeper. I want to know their history, their track record when it comes to helping people like myself. That's what's most important. But no, bro, like, Trump, he went to Joe Rogan and like he had some cool conversations. Like, shut the hell up about that. This is not a reality show of like, who's the coolest president. What policies is he presenting to you? And like one of the policies that blows my mind today, on his website, he said, make the economy great again. Nothing more to it, just that. And people hounded Harris to have details upon details when it comes to her policies. They wanted her details to have their own details, like the amplified version Bible. Like they needed extreme details, but Trump is over here, make the economy great again. And you're telling me I have to share air with these idiots? You're telling me I have to share spaces with these dumbasses? Okay, fair enough. Okay, got you. Hey, dumbass right there. Okay, simple as that. Let's go to the next one. 942, okay? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ultimately, Americans' interests never get represented. One side, on the other hand, at least acknowledges that people are angry. The Republicans do. But then they say, you're not angry because we're spending all this money in fucking wars overseas instead of fixing your goddamn potholes and making sure that you have better internet, making sure that, there aren't 600,000 homeless people that are sleeping outside tonight, right? We're wasting all of our money on this. Instead of saying that, Republicans do what? They say, who's the problem? All these immigrants that are coming in. You know who's the problem? It's the Democratic Party. They care too much about trans people. Like, the Democratic Party didn't even talk about trans people once this election cycle. It was just Trump that talked about trans people. Couldn't get it out of his goddamn mouth. He could have stopped thinking about trans people. So ultimately, it's like...
So, and then he's going to kind of go onto a rant here. Once again, if you guys want to watch it, just go to his page. But this is where he kind of circles back and answers the question to what he just started there.
But I would ask Matt Walsh this question, really. Like, there's what? I think it was like 1% of the population is trans. Like, if they all were no longer trans, if you like forcibly were like, I don't want a single doctor to perform the surgery, if you just like forcibly reversed their decision and said, no more HRT for you, right? And as people who have both taken different kinds of HRT, yourself and myself, I think, we don't exactly have that much of a problem with people doing hormone replacement, right? Like I take minoxidil, which is a DHT blocker. You may or may not have taken some other form of hormone replacement therapy.
It's true. Yeah.
But ultimately, like if we were to stop that, right, dead in his tracks, we're like, no more. These medical professionals are woke. They were in the pocket of big woke, big trans. They were doing this for nefarious purpose. We got to stop it. Let's say we stop it. Did you put more money on your table? Did you put more money in your pocket? More food on your table? Did you get a better means of shelter? Did we actually solve the homelessness crisis? No. It's a fucking simple distraction. That's all it is. But it's one that I think tracks with a lot of people because like they get constantly pummeled, bombarded with the and
now, once again, hey guys, you don't have to be the most educated, the most intellectual individual in the world to understand a simple concept as if we're attacking this controversial subject or situation such as trans in sports, okay? If we solve that, how is that going to help my material situation, my material needs in this life, is that going to solve anything? Like, even come close to anything? The answer is no. Okay? I'm going to stop yelling at people, okay? The answer is no. So my question is, why did we spend so much time talking about that? Not saying that that's not an issue that needs to be discussed, but it doesn't need to be discussed on a national level. What needs to be, what needs to be discussed is healthcare, job quality, a minimum wage increase, education, affordable education, holding politicians accountable when it comes to them getting funded by super PACs and all the such. Can we please talk about what's important as of now? And then once we figure all that out, then hey, we'll go crazy on the whole conversation. Hey, I promise. But until then, I don't want to hear a motherfucking word about anything else that's not important today. That's simple. Can we do that? Can we be grown enough to talk about grown-up conversations? I'm sorry. You know what? I'm sorry. I tried not to yell. I will do better on this next one. 2309.
Like, I mean, I wasn't going to have a good day regardless of whether... yeah, so if Kamala Harris had won, it would be business as usual. And I think that the very...
Oh, shoot.
If Kamala Harris...
She gets worse. What actually gets worse?
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, so if Kamala Harris had won, it would be business as usual. And I think that the very same problems that exist that have gone unaddressed would continue to not be addressed, and people will get more and more angry. And the next time around, it wouldn't be Donald Trump. It'd be someone even more dangerous than Donald Trump, most likely, right? But with Donald Trump winning the election, I mean, he has campaigned on a lot of promises that are really, really damaging to the country. On the economic agenda, he consistently says he wants to implement tariffs. Now, I am a leftist, so I'm not immediately anti-tariffs. I use American manufacturing when I do my merchandise. I get it from union shops in the United States of America. Those are the people that manufacture my garments that I use for my merchandise. I don't know where you get your merchandise from, but I can give you one example of why Donald Trump's economic policies are going to be harmful to you directly. I assume you don't get it from America.
I get it from multiple different, some from America, some from Pakistan, some from China. It depends.
So the ones that you're getting from China, Donald Trump wants to institute a complete tariff on all goods coming from China. So the way tariffs work, and I don't know if you've ever broached in this territory at all, but like the way tariffs work is that it doesn't actually harm the Chinese manufacturers because they're not paying for it. It's basically a entry tax that you, when you're purchasing those goods from China, are going to be paying for it. Now all of a sudden, that harms your bottom line. That harms your profit margins.
Is it that simple though?
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's that straightforward.
No.
Hey, is it that simple? You know what? Hey, guys, once again, I don't know everything, but I'm always willing to learn some things. I'm willing to always crack open a book. I even pay for books. Like not everything has to be free. Sometimes you have to pay to increase your knowledge in X, Y, and Z. It is okay to learn things, and some things are not as complicated as you think. When it comes to tariffs, hey, you'll probably spend an hour and pretty much get the grasps of what tariffs and how that is implemented correctly, how it can be abused, and how that kind of was started in a sense. Like, just spend a solid hour and you'll be like pretty well off being able to have a conversation about tariffs. But as soon as he said that, wait, it can't be that simple. Like really? I just knew it at that moment. It was going to be some bullshit. And I was right. Let's take a listen.
No, tariffs are pretty cut and dry. It's just basically when you say you're implementing a tariff, all the goods that you're purchasing from the country that has a tariff, or all whatever the goods are that have tariffs on them, you at the point of entry have to pay a fee, the additional fee. You're paying the tariff as an American.
So you don't think that there is then any need or competition that could be created in this scenario where, let's say, for example, now, because as a business buying products overseas, it's too expensive, so I don't buy it there. You don't think there's any sort of initiative for example, China, right? For China to compete in a manufacturing area, which is the world, and mainly sending products to the United States. You don't think there's any initiative for the Chinese government to subsidize those companies so that they are able to continue business here overall?
No, they haven't done that. They usually just institute a trade war. They did this with soybeans, where they were like, "Oh yeah, you're slapping tariffs on steel that is coming from China." Okay,
which happened under Trump's first administration or first term, right? Once again, people have like this short-term memory, and like they forget how Trump had the same plan and it didn't work out for a lot of people. But, you know, let's just like pretend, bro, let's just pretend as if like he knows what he's doing, right? Okay, got you.
we're doing it on, like, it just basically kickstarts the process of trade wars. Now, what is supposed to happen, what tariffs are for, is trade protectionism. So, like, that's the reason why I said I'm not immediately anti-tariff, right? Let's say you have a dormant manufacturing business or a sector that you actually have the raw material for here in the United States of America, but American manufacturers have decided that it's much cheaper to get it from China instead, okay? But you got all these jobs, you got all these facilities, and you got all this raw material that's ready to go, ready to rip, right? In that circumstance, it makes sense because your goal there is to shut off Chinese goods from being imported so that American manufacturing thrives. That means more American jobs, higher paying jobs overall. That'll still have an inflationary effect, certainly, because American manufacturing is going to be more costly. But overall, I think that there is an economic benefit to that. Now, instituting a wholesale tariff, on the other hand, from all goods coming from China, when you have no competitive manufacturing industries that will make up for the additional lack of supply, is going to simply make it more costly for the people that are still going to get it from China and then pay an additional tax to the government. Now, you're going to pay that tariff, and now you still want to maintain your profit margin. So what do? You carry that cost onto the consumer. If the price of the t-shirt when you're purchasing in bulk is like $10, but now you actually have to slap on an additional $5 back, like a kickback to the government, now your bottom line is going to be $15 a pop. So now what do? You raise the cost of the t-shirt by $5. You want to maintain the same profit margins. You still have people that you've hired. You still have salaries that you must pay. So all of a sudden, now, for the consumer, that t-shirt is going to be, if it was $15 to begin with, that t-shirt is now going to be $20. That's a $5 increase. That's inflation.
It's inflation just because they increase the price, but it's not inflation on people's money and their buying power. I guess it's because it costs more.
Inflation is in the cost of this consumer good has gone up. It is inflated.
What do you think a better way to do it is? And also too, I don't know enough about this tariff stuff to really speak on it, but I was under the impression that if a country is losing its ability to sell from a specific sort of industry, that it might try to be more competitive with that industry. And I figured like maybe there'd be some sort of fallback or blowback to the country to maintain it within the space, like to be able to continue to compete in that space.
Yeah.
So once again, okay, like I'm not gonna fault anyone from not knowing everything at one moment. Like, of course, you know, if you don't know what the tariffs are or how deep that goes, I got you. Take, you know, an hour or a day or a week, you know, study up, and then we can continue that conversation. But if you already voted for Trump, okay, and he's been talking about this whole tariff thing way before he got elected, and now you're telling me that you're not as versed when it comes to tariffs and how deep that goes. Why? Why can't you figure that out? Know that it's some bullshit that he's saying or he wants to implement and say, you know what, Trump, I don't like that idea. I'm a businessman myself. I outsource from X, Y, and Z countries. You're going to mess up my bottom line and I'm not going to mess up my profits. So I'm going to pass these extra dollars onto the consumers. Like, what? Guys, hey, I can't be the only one shocked by the dumb assness over here. And this is a lot of Trump supporters. Why, guys? But you know what? If I can figure that out, I can solve world hunger at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's shit, you know? Damn. All right, let's go to this last point, man. And this one right here is the real shocker. This one right here threw me for a doozy here.
No speed. Yeah.
Yeah. But if it gets better in the next like 2 years, are you going to tell the truth, or are you going to try to just continue to cuck for the Democratic side?
I will absolutely tell the truth, 100%. But I don't foresee getting better at all.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope that it gets better. I believe so. I want to believe so.
I just know what happened last time Donald Trump was president. Did not get better.
But there's no wars. That was dope.
What do you mean there was no wars? We were still in Iraq. We were still in Afghanistan. He blew up Syria and he killed Iranian general Qasem Soleimani. He threw away the Iran denuclearization agreement. Like, he did a whole bunch of nonsense. He accelerated Obama's drone wars by like 400% when he was in office. He did all this stuff. It's just he says he's anti-war, and then people are like, oh, I guess he's anti-war. Like, no, he is.
Hey, look at his face. You can tell he's never heard of anything that Hasan has said. And when I was first hearing, like, you know, Trump is anti-war and all this stuff, and I started hearing like, hey, actually he did X, Y, and Z, I actually had to look at all these points, look it up, you know, read some articles, figure out, you know, what has happened throughout other countries, and kind of educate myself and be like, oh, that makes sense. Why are people pretending as if this didn't happen? And then you're gonna have that same face right there, like, oh, okay, got you. You know, like,
he says he's anti-war, and then people are like, oh, I guess he's anti-war. Like, no, he is also very much pro-war. There's no American president that was anti-war. That does not happen. Okay, you get killed if that's where your actual position is. And
but they kind of ran on that right now.
I know. It's called lying, Bradley. Politicians do it all the time, and Trump does a very good job at lying.
Hey, bro seriously just said but he said he's anti-war. but he told me that. Hey, guess what, young man? I got a couple of bridges in my trunk. I got a desert to sell you. I'll sell you a star right now. Just PayPal me, Cash App me, and I will deliver it to you personally. Okay. What is going on with people? Why are people that stupid to say, but he told me he wasn't? Man, you know what, guys? I'm glad he's not a female, because those are the type of females that these disingenuous guys prey on. Like, girl, you know what? I'll sell you the world. You know what I'm saying? I'll lasso the moon, pull it closer just for you. You know what I'm saying? I'll cross the sea. I'll make anything happen for you, girl. You know what I'm saying? And dumbasses like that is like, oh my God, you know, like, oh, for real? Okay, you do that for me? That's how dumb these dudes are when it comes to Trump and his, I was going to say some words that'll probably get me in trouble by YouTube, his dumb assness. And people fell for it. And that's why we're here today. You know what I'm saying? So once again, as ish starts to hit the fan, I will continue to remind these Trump supporters that you did this to us. There's not going to be no ifs, ands, or buts, or, oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know, da. No, this is your fault. And I'm going to remind you every single day. I will be an asshole about it. Don't care. I don't need you to be my friend. That's simple. But once again, guys, if you agree or disagree with anything I said in this segment or this entire video, let me know in the comments down below, or hit that Discord button so me and you can have that one-on-one talk. And like always, let's have that conversation.